If you are stressed out, burnt out, you can't stop thinking about stuff, you're going nuts, take a break and tune in to this next episode because this empowerment coach has some really good advice that just may help you like feel a little better. All right, stay tuned. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Best Advice Podcast Show. I'm your host, Angela Watley, and I have a fascinating guest today. I'm really excited because I feel like there's so much going on. We all need what she's going to share today. Okay. Stacey Johnson, welcome to the show. She's a women's empowerment coach. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Angela. It's nice to be here today.
Great. So when people say a women's empowerment coach, what do you want them to understand about how like impactful that means, like that is?
Yes, because I work with women and I empower them to make changes in their life, specifically if they're stressed and burnt out and overthinking. And the transformation that they will make is that they are able to, enjoy their life. They are able to be connected to their loved ones because they're not carrying all this stress and they're not overthinking, and they're taking care of themselves better.
Yeah. At what point do they come to you? Or what point do you wish they would come to you?
Usually they're coming to me when they are they're experiencing a lot of stress. They're experiencing a gap, a gap in their loved ones, like they're not connecting anymore. And they're coming to me when they're sleep deprived because their overthinking has maybe gotten in the way of sleeping well. And so I wish they would come to me a little bit earlier, so they can not experience as many consequences that they might have from their stress and burnout, and the overthinking. But anyway, when they come, I help them transform with my 90-day coaching program.
Okay. So is it more like they're living, but they're not living, like they're not themselves, and that's why maybe they're not connecting to people they used to be able to connect with?
Yeah, well, and they're finding when they're overthinking, they're more irritable, and so easier, like they just get stressed over the littlest things. And then they're arguing with their loved ones more often, over the simplest questions, like what's for dinner? And then it becomes a fight, or an argument cycle starts. And so that's kind of why they're not connecting with their loved ones as easily, or they're avoiding they think that, doing some of the things that they're doing will help with their stress because maybe they come home stressed from work. And so they think like if they avoid people or if they endlessly start scrolling or using other unhealthier habits, that they will become less stressed. But unfortunately, those unhealthier habits tend to make us more stressed because it puts more of that, gap between connecting with their loved ones. Yeah. And then they're not taking care of themselves well. A lot of times the women that I've talked to say, I can't take the time to self-care. There's not enough time in the day, or I feel guilty to take care of myself because I'm not doing something with my loved ones, or I'm not spending time with them. Yeah. And so, I always tell people you need to it's essential to take care of yourself. That's why when we fly, the stewardess always say, if something happens, use the oxygen mask for yourself first and then put it on other people.
I was just thinking about that.
It's essential for us to take care of ourselves first.
Ready to transform your life or just tired of feeling stuck? Conquer stress, boost confidence, overcome fears, and more. Unlock your potential with a private mindset coaching session with Angela. Your breakthrough begins here. Visit newmindsetnow.com. So don't wait. Book your session now.
Yeah. What do you think? So to me, that's so common, right? And it's almost like not like a badge of honor, but sometimes people brag about, oh, I have this, I've done this so much. I'm like, I have this to do, right? Like I have no free time. Where do you think that pressure comes from to be like a superwoman?
I think it's our own internal thoughts. Somewhere along the line, we get this thought that if we don't kind of keep up and we don't, like if we say no, I can't do that. I just don't have the time to put that on my plate. There's like this guilt that I think we carry, especially high achieving, driven women. There's this, sense of kind of this perfectionism that we have to do everything that people ask us to do.
Yeah.
And if I say no, then they may not like me as much, or I may be putting them, they just feel this guilt. So we just take it on so much. And then our plate is just over full, and we don't take care of ourselves as well. And part of the strategies that I teach is that self-care does not need to take a long time. It can be literally just taking some deep breaths in the middle of the day and saying no and not feeling guilty of taking on that extra thing to do when we don't have it in our time.
So how did you become an empowerment coach? Like what was the catalyst that made you say, okay, you know what, this is my mission?
Yes. So I've been a clinical therapist for 25 years in the state of Ohio. And 3 years ago, my husband passed away. And about a year after he passed, I needed extra income. And I was working full time in an alternative school. And I did not, because I have been part time in like the ER as a clinical therapist, or another like community wellness center. And I just didn't want to commit myself to someone else's schedule because my kids still needed me at home. Even though they were adults, they were 18 and 19 and suffering a loss from their father as well. And I didn't want to be out of the home any more than I wanted to be after work hours. So I started doing some clinical therapy through telehealth. And every woman that was coming to me was stressed, burnout, overthinking. And this was me about 15 years ago. I can remember one evening, someone asking me what was for dinner, and I yelled. And my husband's like, "Why are you always angry?" And I'm like, "I'm not angry. Oh, I'm burnt out and stressed and irritable, and I'm taking it out on the wrong people. And I need to take care of myself better." So from all the years of being in clinical therapy, I went back to all of my personal development and professional development notes. And I'm kind of, okay, this is what's going on. I kind of created some things for myself to use. I shared it with friends. And then I started using it with all these therapy clients that I was seeing. And I'm like, I want to do this more. I want to help more women. I can't help as a therapist. You have to stay within the state that you're licensed in.
Yeah.
And as a coach, I could go beyond those states.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like I woke up one day, found, somebody that kind of helps therapists become coaches. And my gut was like, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help more women, break free from that stress and burnout feeling and overthinking, and have them enjoy their loved ones, because at the end of the day, you don't know when our time is up, and we might as well be enjoying life versus being stressed all the time.
Yeah. Did you get any, like, what reaction did you get from like your family and your friends when you made this change?
Yes, good question. My family has been very supportive. My brother started his own business about 7 years ago, and he said it was the best decision he ever made. Go ahead, do it. Again, my mom said the same thing. My kids were like, we don't care as long as like their life didn't change, like as long as we can figure it out, mom, and now they love it. They love that I'm home, even though they're adults, they still live with me. They're in college. And they love the fact that there are days that they know that they could kind of like come in my office and sit down. And they're like, this is so nice that, you know, we have the ability to talk to you when we need you. And of course, my friends have been very supportive. I had been at a position for 20 years. So some of the people there were a little sad to see me leave, but very supportive.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you have some clients that transitioned over to their coaching business with you?
Ethically, they're not, so I can't take anybody from there. If I've seen them in therapy, I can't take them to coaching, even
Oh,
though they would be a good fit.
yeah.
It's considered a dual relationship when you are a therapist. And so I have not been able to take anybody, but
Mm.
I've had a client that came to me from a referral from another therapist.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that can happen is I can get referrals from other therapists
Yeah.
who think would be a good fit for the group because I do group coaching.
Hmm.
And so other therapists are welcome to refer to me.
Oh, so your clients had to lose you. That's so crazy.
Well, I'm still a therapist. I'm still seeing therapists. I just have that fine line of, you know, these are therapy clients and these are coaching clients.
Yeah.
So the therapy clients that I have are still my therapy clients, and they know that I'm a coach, and they just can't come to my coaching world.
Yeah. Okay. So I can imagine a woman who's, overwhelmed and stressed out, and you say, "Hey, you need an empowerment coach." And she's like, "What? What's that? What are they going to try to have me do? Like, what else would I have to do?" So, like, what's the first step that you take when a woman comes to you like, "I can't deal"?
So we talk about where their stress is and what is going on, like where are their life right now? And I talk to them a little bit about what I can offer them. You know, if they're already in therapy, one of my clients was still in therapy, but her therapist is like, it's a good idea for you to be in a group.
Mm.
And so when clients join me, they do a wellness survey to see kind of where their stress and anxiety are, where in their life is it impacting. And then my 12 weeks of the coaching program, I have educational modules that they get delivered online through email. And it's a recorded module. They work at their own pace. I have reflective worksheets. And then we have the group coaching call. And then they come to the call with their questions from either their homework that they've been doing, or if something in the day or the week has come to them that they're like, we need to talk about this. So we talk about it. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, they take another wellness survey to see where their transformation has been.
Yeah.
And I do have a guarantee that if they are doing the work and attending the coaching calls, if their wellness survey, their numbers don't go down, then they can stay another month in the program.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of, I help them help them create their own self-care plan based on a self-care assessment. And I do a lot of cognitive changing their thoughts, because that's what happens when we're overthinking.
Yeah.
We get these thoughts kind of stuck in our head. And so I teach them a lot of learning to look at what we can control and what we can't control. And then, stopping that overthinking and being in charge of our own brain, because we're in charge.
Yeah. Is there one particular client that really like stands out in your mind in terms of like the transformation?
Yes, yes. One of my clients, she came to me and she couldn't even go into the grocery store. Her stress, she would overthink everything. You know, she was overthinking like, what if, because she had some past issues that had happened in a grocery store, but nothing to her. And so she kept holding on to that and like, what if this would happen? And what if this would happen? And by the time she was done with me, she was able to go to the grocery store. She was also a planner. And so if someone would call her and be like, hey, I'm free tonight, do you want to go out to dinner? She typically would say no because it wasn't in her plan. but then by the time she finished with me, she was like, yeah, I'm free. Let me go. Let me, put on some shoes and I'll meet you there or whatever. And so the transformation of her letting go of just, like she always thought she had to be in control of everything. And so we were able to really, she was able to ask herself, like, if someone would call at the end of the day, ask her and go out to eat. She's like, okay, like, what's the big deal? Like, who cares? Like, what is it going to impact the night if I go out to dinner with them? So she was able to,
Definitely.
and she emailed me about a month after she graduated from the program, just as an update and going, hey, I remodeled my living room and here's a picture, because I hung pictures up and I didn't even really I didn't have to bring out the ruler and measure everything. I just put it and I love it. I'm like, that's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, so there are things that can be stressful for you in your life, right? Your family, your friends, your job, finances, things like that. What about things that do impact you that you cannot necessarily control, but it's all around you, like on the news, on social media, all that? What advice would you give a woman who's really stressed out right now because of, recent events in this country?
Yes. So, and I had that during the election week. I had so many clients. Actually, I was seeing therapy clients on election day, and they came to me and they're like, I'm like, what is the one part that you can control in this situation? You can control that you voted. That's it. That is all we can control. I ask, so many people are like, what if? And my question to them is, let the what if stop, and you say to yourself, what can I do right now? Focusing on what we can do, because we have to learn to let go of all those what ifs, because we have no idea what is going to happen. And when if our what if comes true, then I always say you will problem solve through that. You will use the tools that you have at that moment and you will problem solve through it. Have you ever let yourself down before when you needed to problem solve a situation, and have them look at their strengths that they have and how they will be used during a time that if those situations actually happen.
Yeah. So for those of you who watch this, I hope what she just said gives you a little slice of it'll be okay.
Yeah. Because we don't know what's going to happen. And so I focus on what right now, what can you do right now? And so that is my advice, is asking yourself what you can do right now.
Yeah. I love that. So my final question to you is, it doesn't even have to be related to, empowerment or anything, but what's the one best piece of advice you could give a woman watching now based on everything you've, overcome or been through in your life?
You're learning to take care of yourself and stop overthinking. If you can learn the skills to stop overthinking, I noticed that was one thing that I got in my way. I would overthink everything. I would leave my stressful job and I would think about, there were times that I drove home and been like, how did I even get here? Because I didn't remember the actual drive. Like, what did I see? Who did I pass? And so, I let all that go and been more in the moment. So I enjoy more of my moments instead of allowing myself to overthink. Now I don't even, because I practice the skills so well that I don't even, if I find a thought coming in my head that is not related to this moment, I said, there's nothing you can do about it right now. Deal with that later, type of thing. And so, and self-care, taking those moments in the middle of the day, and taking some deep breaths, finding joy in your day. If that means dancing in the kitchen while you cook dinner, then do it.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. And
thank you.
I think there's some really good nuggets in there. There's going to help a lot of people make the shift
Thank
that
you.
they need.
Thank you so much.
Right. And thank you guys for tuning in. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Share this with someone you care about. Actually, share this with everyone because sometimes you don't know what your loved ones or your friends are going through, right? Sometimes they keep a really good facade up. So
Yep.
I think what Stacey shared can really help. So make sure you share that. All right. Until then, keep going and keep growing. Bye.